as I said, I tell people, I used to believe, and a lot of people are still naive, that these people that are like, oh, the world should be even. The world can't be
Can't
even.
be even.
The system doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And
No.
so what we have to have capitalism, but we also can have capitalism for good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so those are the things that I drive towards is capitalism for good because those who wouldn't know about the opportunities but have the ability and the resilience and everything else to jump from their station to the next station, because that's what it is. You know, a lot, they get to start at a higher station. But to move stations, you have to have resilience because you got to go through some things.
Yeah, you have to go through some things. You absolutely right. I always think about what we're made by what we've been through. I often say, you know, when I talk about regrets, yes, there's some things I can address, and I can say, man, could I have made a better decision, behind that? If I had the opportunity to go do it all over again, would I do it differently? But then I start thinking about the process, and I start thinking about the journey, and I'm like, well, I've grown more from failure than I have from success.
As does everyone.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, because you get the opportunity to learn. You know what? I'm not, it's kind of like, being out here in LA yesterday, and I'm thinking like, okay, now I can maneuver and know what I'm going to eat dinner. I better eat dinner back closer to my restaurant because of the traffic, because 5 o'clock traffic out here a lot different. So, we should be constantly learning things. And as we learn, we can adjust and we can address. And so, kind of going back to, some systems are designed, and a lot of times we don't understand that you have to beat the system that has been designed. Me working as a political activist, I'm in 22 correction facilities in the state of Alabama. When I say I'm in there, I can show pictures. Like I'm in there, like praying with brothers, praying with people, mentoring and teaching. So we're there. We're not simulcast in, but we're actually out there in the population.
Yeah.
Like we out there on the ground, walking and touching people, and being in 22 correction facilities, being in 3 juvenile facilities. I'm in 3 homeless shelters and 2 what we call halfway transition facilities. Those individuals are on their way back out. And what I always try to share with everybody, so when I get the guys that's on their way back out, what I tell them, they're not letting your number on that bed go for another 2 years, right? Because the system is designed for you to do something crazy. If you run a red light, see, you just got out on probation, okay? Mm-hmm. So you just got parole. So if you run a red light, you going back in and finish that sentence up. If you, whatever that may look like, it could be something as simple as, hey, that guy got stopped because he didn't have a tag on the back of his car. Well, you going back in and finish your sentence.
Yeah.
So that's why they're going to keep that bed number for you, because they understand, oh, there's no way he ain't going to do something crazy. Because the majority of those guys, let me tell you, when I deal with my halfway guys, they have this fear of, man, I just rather go back in, man. I just rather go finish my sentence. I don't trust myself out here. And it's not because I want to go do something crazy, but I understand that there's a system that's supposed to attract me to come back. And so I got to watch my every move. So most of those guys, when we get them in an apartment, man, they don't even want to come out and go to work because of the fear of just doing something wrong.
So that's amazing. So this is a great conversation. So with that, the things that you're talking about, so we started a program here called the Dream Seed Program.
Okay.
And so to address that, because you said earlier you have the voice of a Baptist minister, 100%, 100% you do. And so my family is filled with ministers and pastors. I tell people my mother passed from cancer, but my mother was a saint. And the one thing that she would say is fear and faith don't live in the same place.
That's right. That's right.
And so a lot of these people who have to go through these things, they're attached to the juvenile system or the correction system, they haven't learned about faith. the way that we have. And I assume that you've been brought up similar to me.
Oh man, oh absolutely,
Yeah.
brother.
And so when you have that faith, you have an understanding and a believing of, my mom was used to saying, I'm looking for a miracle. You're
Yeah, that's right.
expecting
Oh
it.
yeah, I'm expecting.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm expecting.
You know?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
we
right.
see the intangible.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy that the world where it is now, how it's science and religion are together.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Science and religion are together. So you talk about Joe Dispenza, and you talk about my mom talking about looking for a miracle, you expecting that. I feel the intangible.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Joe Dispenza says, you need to feel that you have it already.
That's right.
You need to believe that you have already got whatever that manifestation is.
Yeah.
That's the terms, manifestation.
Yeah.
You believe because God has given us all abundance. But
That's right.
when you've been in a cage and no one has taught you, your decisions got you here.
Yeah.
You can manifest both positive and negative. You manifested yourself here.
Yeah.
But as you manifested yourself here, you can manifest yourself out.
You can manifest yourself out. Yep, that's right. That's right. But you're right. Like, science and God is now walking in a marriage together. Mm-hmm. And, we know in the beginning it was God and creation come from God. And a lot of times, I always touch on God's will for your life. And I talk about his perfect will, and then I talk about his permissive will. And, I tell people all the time, people are like, man, you so loud, man. You need to, tone it down. So I'm like, I can't. Yeah, you can. Nah, man, it's part of my DNA. Who I am today, who you get the opportunity to experience is the manifestation of who God created me to be. See, God created me to be a 6'1" guy. He created me to be a 6'1" black guy. He created me. So I had no control. See, I got control on whether I'm 230, 250, 275, but this 12 ain't going nowhere. Yeah. God had control of that. So God helped me understood in the foundation that I want to control where your feet go. That's why you're a 12. I want to control. So I'm thinking like, okay, so why would I alter myself to deviate from God's perfect will for my life? Yeah. Exactly. I mean, I don't kick the phone. I was telling my daughter this the other day. She probably kill me if she heard this. I was telling my daughter this other day. I said, what was God's thought process when he created you? Have you ever thought about that? Mm-hmm. I'm like, you think about, okay, you got iPhone. Apple was thinking about something when they created iPhone. They didn't create iPhone to be Samsung. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so exactly. What was Rolex thinking? When the engineering department made the decision that we're going to make a watch that don't need a battery, it was not going to be compared to Seiko. It wasn't going to be compared to Pulsar, Tizzo. You can go down the list, okay? Mm-hmm. When BMW created the BMW, they created to be the ultimate driving machine. There was no comparison. Yeah. So when you're cutting your hair and you're dyeing your hair, you're doing all these things, you're like, well, man, are you not deviating away from what God created you to be? There's a reason why he wanted you to be a blonde, right? There's a reason why he wanted me to have black hair. I'm like, so, and I know that's sometimes people, they like, man, that's kind of deep, bro. You really go that deep? Man, I really go that deep because I want to walk in the full manifestation of what God's thought process was when he created me. Mm-hmm. And so now it helps me understand the journey of life. Then, as you said earlier, man, I think about the scripture text that I always go to. There's two texts I live by. One is, like you say, Big Mama used to always say, and the other one, it was biblical contact. It's Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things that's not seen. Big Mama always would say, what is your hope built in? And she would always give me this proverbial text, my hope is built in nothing less than Jesus' love and his righteousness. I dare not trust in the sweetest frame that the enemy tried to paint, but wholly leaning on Jesus' name. On Christ, the solid rock, I stand when all other grounds are sinking sand. And so I started thinking about like, okay, so if I alter myself, that becomes a pressure. Because now I'm trying to live out of a frame that was never intended for me. Mm-hmm. How much pressure I just added to my life trying to be somebody that God didn't call me to be. And so what happens when I deal with a lot of these guys, man, you've joined yourself to citizenship of God's permissive will because he cares so much about you and you cried asking him for this life that he didn't even preordain for you. Now that life has got you in a world of mess.
And now what?
Yeah. And I'm like, now it's never too late to come back, but you got to submit. if there is no submission, there is no commission. So you can't be submitted if you're not committed. You can't be committed if you're not submitted. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times with a lot of individuals we deal with, we want what we want, but I was talking to my sister, and I'm gonna give the mic back over to you. She said, but we can have whatever we want as long as we ask in the name. I said, but the name means authorization for what he wants us to have. That's why we can't just go to God like, oh man, I want this, I want that. Because see, what God is saying is, okay, I'm gonna give you the desires of your heart, but does the desires of your heart aligns with the purpose that I created you to be? God ain't dealing with all that tangible stuff, even though it's good. I love nice things too. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna keep getting nice things, but I got a perspective for my nice things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my thought process on that is, what if God will give you everything that you ask for, but he will give it to you his time.
His time.
He'll give it to you after you learn the lessons to get that.
I love that.
And so those are the things that I tell people. I truly believe that God will give us everything that we ask for, but not in the way that we anticipate getting it.
Man, I love that. I love that. I think about he's our daily bread. Could he not give us all the information in one day?
You know what I mean? Absolutely. Could 100% give it to you. But then I was talking to Colin out there, but then would we get the lesson that is necessary? Could God can give you $1 billion today. He can give you $1 billion today. But if you've never managed $100,
oh my goodness,
then what you gonna do with it?
And it's funny you say that. That's why I'm so grateful that my financial success didn't come till later on in life. Man, I've been like buying all kind of crazy stuff at 23 if I had got financial success because I didn't understand. I was premature. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so I always think about I think it's Miles Monroe that said this. He said, why does God show you the goal? He shows you the purpose, but he does not show you the process. And I always come back biblically, okay? And when I think about Joseph, he showed Joseph the throne, but he didn't show him the pit.
Yeah, exactly.
he showed him because if he had said, here's the process, Joseph been like, man, forget all about the
100%. All of those. Yeah, I tell people I'm a different thinker. I believe that Jesus is God.
Yeah.
That's what we taught, but I believe it in a different way, that he was just the physical corporal version of God. And so as he comes down, now he's in a physical form.
Yeah.
If God said, hey, you're going to have to go through all of these things, and then we're going to put you up on this cross, and then, man, it's going to be all bad. But guess what? You're going to come back at the end.
Yeah.
And then you're going to come back to heaven.
Yeah.
As a human, you're like,
oh, yeah.
That's heavy.
Man,
I don't know if I could take all that.
Yeah.
And so I think, just like you said, God gives us the end.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gives us the end, and then he's like, now get on your journey, because it's a nonstop journey to all of it, the peaks and valleys. I told one of my friends today, Dr. Taisha Noyes, we're going to talk about what you're doing with these kids as well as these formerly incarcerated in terms of training. But I told her I've been in a valley, a learning valley. So it's peaks and valleys. So we get to the top and everything is great. Then it's the valley, and that's when God tests your resolve.
That's right.
And so this is the longest valley I've been. But what she said to me, and she's a preacher's kid, so she's amazing.
Yeah.
She said, well, your dad was in construction. The higher your building go up, the deeper your foundation has to be.
The deeper it got to go. That's
and
right.
I was like, well, I guess I can accept this valley then.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Or you think about, I like that. I got to coin that one.
Yeah.
Or you think about a seed in its very embryonic stages has to be exposed to darkness before it's exposed to light.
Yes.
Because all the nutrients is in darkness.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, everybody want the lights, right? But sometimes prematurity in the lights will get you destroyed. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why if you think about the seed in its embryonic stages, it's buried because all the nutrient and the moisture is under the darkness. And so what happens is that the lifespan starts there and it goes down as roots before it goes up as a tree. And so to me, metaphorically thinking about that, I'm like, okay, I can see that. That's why there's a lot of pain and growth.
Yes.
So a lot of times when I started last year, I had cancer last year. Man, I went through a period last year to where I was just hurting bad. Didn't know what was going on. I just knew I was hurting in my midsection. Okay, so one night I get up off the couch, wife watching Golden Girls. I'm there, doing some work on the couch. Go stand over the toilet, nothing coming out, and I'm like, hold on, I just had this urge, and nothing's coming out. So I tell my wife, I was like, hey, I'm just gonna go up to the ER. So long story short, I find out, from going through the ER, something ain't right. Your culture test don't come back right. You need to go to your primary. But because I was in so much pain, I just ran up to the ER. So very next day, I set this appointment. So I find out from my doctor, they was like, man, you got a very rare, unique form of cancer. It's like usually with guys, you either have prostate or you have kidney cancer. That's more predominant, okay? It was like where your cancer is stuck in between your prostate and your urethra. So they was like, this is going to be a very difficult season of your life. But what I understood was I had enough faith to believe that God had me through the whole process. Yeah. So you talking about going through a very dark time in my life. They put me on 11 different antibiotics. They put me on Lomax, which is one of the biggest cancer fighting agent drugs that's out there without having to take traditional chemo. And so first week, I'm going through, and I'm telling my wife, I go down to the pharmacy and I get all this medication. I got 11 bottles plus one lined up. And I'm like, okay, I got 12 bottles lined up. And man, I was okay. I had never been on this medication. I'm like, okay, in my faith, I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go through this. Because what I was thinking in the process, this is going to be a great testimony. That's the only thing I was thinking about. This is going to be, I wasn't thinking about dying. I wasn't thinking about I was just thinking about, man, it's going to give me a great story to tell one day.
Yes.
So I remember starting to read the medication, 11 months. I was like, I got to take all this for 11 months now. So I'm like, okay, I got a little bit of rain on the parade here. So I take all the medication. About 30 minutes later, I called my wife. I was like, oh my God, I'm sick. And she was like, do you think it was the medication? I was like, it had to be the medication. I was like, I was feeling okay until I took all this medication. So I called my doctor. He's like, hey, did you take it on a full stomach or empty stomach? I was like, no. I was like, man, hey, I ate, took the medication. He's like, okay, tomorrow, take it on an empty stomach. Next day, I take it on an empty stomach. I felt worse. I'm like, this ain't gonna work. So he's like, okay, last option. He was like, take it prior to going to bed and you will sleep it off. I was like, okay, sound like a plan. Next night, I take it, stay up all night. So I'm like, okay, this is a God thing now. I'm like, it's almost like, it's like the lady, I like the story in Mark with the lady with the issue of blood said she had spent all her money, nothing got better but grew worse. So now I'm like the lady with the issue of blood. I ain't done all I can do and nothing got better but got worse. But the Lord spoke to me and was like, you know what? Start your day, eat your breakfast and your lunch, then take your medication. I ate my breakfast and my lunch. I took my medication. I was like, okay, here we go. I'm ready to go. And so through this process, first 3 months, take the medication, everything gets back to normal, goes back to see my doctor. He was like, you know what? He was like, everything looks great. He said, even the cancer is gone. But he said, it could be the medication that's fighting it. So he's like, let's go 3 more months. I'm saying all that to say, through the whole process, I was able to hold on to my faith.
Yeah.
A lot of people are not able to hold on to faith because they don't have faith.
That's it.
Yeah, they don't have faith. They don't have a hope that's built in something.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a hope that's built in something, see, I knew God said he'll never leave me nor forsake me. So I was holding on to that. Yeah. So I like how you presented that with being in the valley. Even with being in the valley, it does not matter how long you're going to be there if you understand who the sustainer is.
That's exactly correct. That's exactly correct. Because no matter what, he will never leave you.
That's right.
Will never give you too much. Now, there's a lot of times we feel like it's too much.
Oh, we
feel like it's too much,
yeah.
But it'll never give you too much. And so you just continue on that journey. What got you to where you started doing this? Because this is a very interesting situation.
Man, I'll be honest with you. A friend of mine, her name is Julie Clayton. Julie was working at one of our transitional facilities, and she was going down like every Monday. And she was like, hey, man, you should go down with me. And, I'm like, yeah, one day I'll go down. And just one Sunday afternoon, I took my kids to a Bible class, and the pastor, he spoke this message about how immersed you are into the community. Are you just existing? Or are you really, giving back to your community the way God designed you? And I was thinking like, man, I'm not really doing anything right now. I mean, I was coaching, helping kids, it's just out of passion of wanting to coach football. And so, so I called Julia up. I was like, hey, you go down every Monday, right? She was like, yeah. So I was like, I'm gonna go down with you. And she's like, really? She's like, all these years I've asked you, you never went down. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I guess I took that Bible class. So I go down to the shelter and they're bringing like boxes of food. And I kid you not, man, it's like feeding time at the zoo. Like they bringing all these boxes in. And the only thing I see like canned sausages, like tuna in a package. And I'm like, where's the rest of the food? Like, this lunchtime, where's the rest of the food?
Yeah.
And they was like, no, this is it. And I see these guys like opening these cans up and opening these little packs up and they're eating. And I'm like, man, I'm blessed. I'm like, I'm blessed. I'm like, man, I can make choice 365 days times 3 on what I eat and drink. I can go whatever I want. These guys eating meat out of a can. They ain't like tuna out of a package. And I was like, man, it gotta be better than this for these guys. But these guys were so grateful. They was like so humble to just have, and I was like, man, it gotta be better than this. That's what got me involved because I understood. And I would, my grandmother, going back to my grandmother, I was raised by my grandmother and my mom and my older sister. But that was something my grandmother always embedded in us anyhow, that you should always deny yourself first to serve others. And it just went away from me. But that's what got me back involved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom would say, if you can help, you do help. And that's very important. I think as we talk about tithing and things like that in the church, most people think that tithing is just a monetary thing. Tithing, I think, is also your time.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Because, a lot of people may not have the ability to give more, but they can give more of their time. Mm-hmm. And that's what I always show people. People ask me all the time, how can I get involved? I was like, well, we got one or two ways you can sow, but it could be financial resources or your time. Mm-hmm. I got a homeless shelter. We on a credit system, and how my guys earn credit is two ways. If they was on drugs, for every week they're off drugs, they can earn. Mm-hmm. Alcoholism, every week they off alcohol, they can earn. They can also do things around the shelter like cut grass, paint, help clean the dining room. And so my constituents, what I tell them is, hey man, if you ever out, buy shoes, buy jackets, buy clothes. And what I learned, man, I got all these shoes at the house. Some shoes I don't even wear. And this is when I first started going down to the shelter. So this guy says he needs shoes. So I was like, what size you wear? He's like, man, I wear a size 11 and a half. I'm like, man, it's your lucky day. I wear a size 12. I was like, I'll bring you a pair. Now, in my mind, I got all these brand new shoes at the house. So the guy asked me, he said, where are you going to bring the shoes from? So I'm bringing them from the house. He's like, nah, man. He was like, I don't want your hand-me-downs. And, now he's telling me this.
Yes.
In my mind, I'm thinking, no, I was going to give him a brand new shoe. But now I'm sort of kind of like, what? Like, look at what position you in. You telling me, what you want and what you don't want. And he's like, hey, man, you ever read this book called Ministering to the Broken? And I was like, no. So he's like, go read that book. So I go read this book, Ministering to the Broken. And it says, we serve a first-class God. Why are we giving second-class gifts? And I went, man, this thing hit me hard. And I'm like, oh, wow. So I shouldn't be taking them leftover barbecue. I should be going to get them like fresh cooked barbecue. And that book helped me understand how to really serve people. And it became a bigger blessing for me.
Bro, that hit hard.
Yeah.
That hit so hard. I literally just gave a cat some shoes 2 days ago. Yeah. So now you've reframed it for me.
Yeah.
I reframed it for me.
It really hit me with that perspective. And so now what we do is, we got brand new jackets in closet, brand new shirts, brand new shoes, brand new, you name it. And when my guys like earn credits, they can go to the closet, get a brand new jacket. They can go to the closet, get brand new Nikes, brand new Under Armours, and so people really appreciate the approach.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you're providing opportunities. And that's really what it's all about.
Yeah. So when you think about that, man, that's crazy. My father, who still lives in the Delta in Mariana, he sent me something. So we're in technology. I'm a problem solver. And sometimes I bite off more than I can chew. I attempted to solve the digital divide myself at one point. And so I was talking to my dad about the broadband benefit plan during COVID, where they were giving a stipend for those who qualify for SNAP, for WIC, for all of those incentives, the government incentives. And I told him, I was like, well, let me know what's going on in Arkansas. And he sent me something. What you just said is why so many people did not sign up. So there's probably 40, 50 million that qualify in America.
Wow.
But only 20 million actually has signed up for it. He sent me the place in Arkansas. If you qualify under poverty standards, you can get internet.
Wow. Wow.
So that's essentially telling people, if you are less than and you don't have anything, here, come take your handout.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, well, they do qualify under poverty standards. Why don't they just go get it? Well, a lot of people, they're still working hard. They work in 2 jobs.
Yeah.
And that's just like a smack in the face.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I just had a young man, and I applaud him because he was on progressive welfare for years, WIC, food stamps, you name it. And so he's telling the story. He's like, hey, I don't know if you're familiar with probably don't have no Piggly Wiggly franchises out here.
No.
Back on the coast, they got Piggly Wiggly.
Yeah.
And so he's like, man, he's in Piggly Wiggly, and the bread trucks, these ice cream trucks pull up. And he's like, so I asked the guy, hey, you guys hiring? And he's like, no, we own these bread routes. Like, we own these ice cream routes. And he's like, what do you mean by that? He was like, so you're in partnership with the bread company or the ice cream company. And when you're pushing your sales through promotions through the store, you're getting a base and you're getting commission. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what is the average person making? He's like, oh, 6 figures easy. And he's like, 6 figures? He was like, what? Like pushing bread, pushing ice cream? He's like, yeah, man, there's a lot of people eat bread and ice cream.
Yeah.
So he's like, how do I apply? So he says that the guy gives him the information. He goes to apply. And when he gets his first interview, they was like, hey, are you getting any kind of government assistance, any kind of government benefit? And he was like, yes. And it was like, in order for us to proceed in the process, you would have to cut all this. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what? Like, you mean I have to guarantee money on the table? Now you tell me I have to come to work for this. Like, guarantee.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was something about his vision of growth and where he wanted to go in life that was bigger than him receiving that free benefit. And he was like, so, he asked the lady, like, okay, like, what are my chances? And she was like, the next part of the process, you would have to put $20,000 down. And he was like, I don't got $20,000. And so he was like, the lady asked him a question. She's like, are you willing to let go progressive welfare? And he was like, I would let it go if I was guaranteed I can get this position, this opportunity. And she said, well, what we can do is, she said, we can in-house finance it. So instead of you making X, you'll make Z, because a percentage of your bonus and your commission structure will come back to paying off the $20,000.
Yeah.
Well, his first year, he made about $120,000. The second year, he ended up buying his second bread route. So this guy's making almost $500,000 a year just by giving up what a handout was for years, because he had something greater in his vision. It was like, nah, man, I see myself in entrepreneurship. So again, I applaud him, because I'm like, if you can get most people to understand, it's okay to get that assistance if it's needed, but how long is it needed?
But that's the whole point of scarcity and abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, again, faith and fear.
Yeah.
So if you make your decisions based on fear, if I give up this food that I got right now, if I give up this couple dollars that I got right now for knowing and believing that God has something better for me, but what if he don't?
Yeah, what if he don't? Yeah, what if he don't?
And that's where the belief is.
Yeah, but see, and that's what I'm saying. That's where, when you think about faith, okay, faith and hope goes together. But the part that most people leave out is the trust, okay? You're like, all right, so where does the trust come from? The relationship. You see what I'm saying? I was telling somebody the other day, I said the difference between a contract and a contact is the R. And the R is for relationship. What does a relationship with God look like? Are you really spending? See, you can't be in a relationship with somebody you're not spending time with. How can I be in a relationship with my wife I don't never talk to, I don't never see her? Man, what kind of relationship is that?
Yeah.
So there cannot be any trust if there's no relationship in the beginning. That has to be a reason why I was able to get on a plane and fly 4,000 miles away from home. There was a relationship there that brought about trust. I trusted coming to LA for an opportunity. So a lot of times people don't understand, well, I don't have faith, I don't believe. Well, yeah, that's a lot of why you're in the position that you're in.
That's it.
That's because when you think about it, you was raised the way I was raised. He's a healer, okay? Well, I need to know that he's a healer. Okay, I can go Isaiah 53:6, for he's bruised for my iniquities and the chastisement of my peace was upon his back, and with his stripes I'm healed. I'm going to believe that based off of I've been in a position where I really need the Lord to heal me before, whether it was mentally, emotionally, or physically, but he's proven him. Not that he had to prove, but he's proven.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? See, a lot of people, they never been in a position to understand, okay, you was in a process of where you was delivered, but do you know who the deliverer was?
What if I match you on this and say, you're the deliverer, I'm the deliverer. It's not Christ, it's Christ in you that is the deliverer.
Amen. I like that. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
And it is. I tell people I don't want to put my beliefs on anyone.
Yeah.
But it is something that I feel down to my soul.
Yeah.
Is that God is giving us these beliefs, is giving us this power to heal. When I was telling somebody about Jesus and how he touched someone, he said, yeah, Jesus touched him and he healed him. I was like, but did he?
Yeah.
Did Jesus touch them? And their belief that he could heal them, they healed themselves.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I believe that God has given us all. And so that's where everything stems from our mind. Everything stems from our belief in ourselves.
Yeah.
I was talking to Colin out there. I came out to LA, got a job, was making money, but I had a floor on my belief of what my value was. So I started making 10,000, then 20,000, then 30,000. You know, you come from a place in the hood,
Yeah.
That's more money than some people make in a year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So now I'm making $40,000. Now, the governor's done hit. Okay, so I can't work for a couple months now because you've capped out what you should be making.
Yeah.
You're worth about $80,000 a year in your mind.
Yeah.
And so those are the things we have to break through because everything is available to us. That's why I started with everything is available to us.
Yeah.
God wants us to pour into ourselves, our minds, our bodies, everything.
I agree. I mean, if you, even biblical context, there was no deliverance unless the person had belief first. So what they tell you, like you was a part of the process. 'Cause if you didn't believe, you didn't get it.
Exactly.
Yeah, you didn't get it. I mean, you know, and so you're absolutely right. You know, I mean, that's why you have to have that personal relationship.
Yes.
Because if you don't, then there's nothing, there's no foundation. And a lot of people, you know, and I'm very humble, you know, the way I was raised, you know, and I know my childhood pastor, he get on to me all the time when I make this statement. I was like, man, I feel like I was in church every day.
That's funny. That's funny.
You know, but I wouldn't take that back for nothing, you know.
But it got you here. That's all part of the journey.
Yeah,
I had a conversation with a kid who was telling me, you know, people try to use the Bible against you in a conversation.
Oh, absolutely.
They're like, oh, well, why would I change? Why would I do something? Because God knows what's going to happen anyway. I was like, you're right. And I was like, but what if God knows? Because God can see the infinite possibilities of your life. Because you can choose left, right, up, down.
Yeah, that's right.
God can see every single corner of that. But you still get to choose because that's the choice.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
We get to decide where we're going to go.
That's right. That's right. And that, I mean, that's, you know, from biblical day, early on biblical days with Adam and Eve, you know, then it gave us the free will. And, you know, most people never understand, because you're right, I get people all the time, but if he already knows, man,
It
you
doesn't
still
even
got a
matter what I
decision.
do.
Yeah, no, you still got a decision, mate. Yeah, you still got. That's why the scripture said, "Life and death is in the power of the tongue." You still got a decision to make.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question, sir. Like, so what? How long? So, what originally brought you out to L.A.?
I was a singer.
Okay, you're a singer.
I was.
Okay, okay,
Well, that's not true.
Okay.
I'm still a singer.
singer.
I just don't sing for money.
okay. Gospel or jazz or
Soul.
Soul. Okay, I can
Yes.
hear it in the voice.
Yes, sir.
I can hear it in the voice.
Yes,
Oh
sir.
man, that's powerful. So that's so you migrated here for opportunity.
I did. I came here. I went to Purdue, and a couple of my buddies were there. I was actually going to move to New York. I love New York. So
Okay.
Purdue, then Chicago, and then Steve McKeever, Hidden Beach Records. Jill Scott used to be on that level.
Yeah.
He told me, he's like, okay, well, you got a voice. You got to move New York or L.A. because it's not happening in Chicago.
In Chicago.
And so I was like, I'm going to New York. I called my boys. I was like, yo, I'm about to move to New York, man. It's about to happen. This music thing's about to happen. And why are you moving to New York? You don't know nobody. I was like, it's okay. It's New York. I'll meet people. They're like, but it's cold. And at that time in Chicago, it was about -10, -15.
Wow. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I think you're right. I think I'm tired of being cold.
Yeah.
And so I moved to LA.
Moved to LA. So, what year did you get? What year did you get to LA?
03.
03. Okay.
Yeah, so I've been
Okay.
here 21 years.
Okay. Have your good outweighed as bad?
The good has far outweighed this bad.
Okay. That's awesome.
Far outweighed this
That's
bad.
awesome. That's awesome.
Yes.
Family?
I'm married with 3 kids.
3 kids. Girls,
Yes,
boy.
sir. 2 boys and a daughter. Princess.
Okay. Okay. How old are they?
7, 8. I'd say their ages, but 9, 8, and 3, because everyone birthday is in May, so we a couple weeks away.
Wow, that's beautiful. That's
it
beautiful.
is.
So I'm married. I got 2. Okay, I'm always okay. So it's 3 and 3 in the family. So I got my wife Karen. I got Brittany, which is my daughter, and I got Riley, which is my granddaughter.
Yeah.
And then I got Wesley, which is my son, and I got Caden, which is my grandson. So I got a 9-year-old and I got a 13-year-old grandchild. And so let me tell you, oh yeah. And it's just like revisiting my daughter all over again because my grandson, when I tell you, every spin image of my daughter. Every spin like when she was 12, when she was 11, I just see it all over again with my grandson. And so, but we got a really close family, because I travel a lot. So I spend a lot of time on Capitol Hill. Just recently bought a house in Sarasota, Florida. Little area south of Sarasota, a little area called Cape Coral. But most of the time when you say Cape Coral, and I never understand why people don't know what Cape Coral is at. It is the fastest growing city in Florida, and it's the 3rd largest populated city in Florida.
Faster than Jacksonville?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's the fastest growing city in Florida, and most people don't know. It's about Fort Myers. You got the Fort Myers Bridge, which is 8 miles over the bridge. So you're in Fort Myers. So trust me, when you go to Fort Myers, it's painted Deion Sanders all over the place.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, but because we do travel a lot, because what God has called us to do across our country, it takes a lot. But whom much is given, much is required, right?
That's exactly
correct. And so I understand that. Sometimes my family is not as flexible with me. My wife often say, hey, you remember you got a wife and a family, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you remember you like nice things, right?
Exactly. That part.
Yeah, my wife and daughter. It's funny because you would think, I always say, when I go places with my wife and daughter, especially my daughter, I always got to shop. And you would think I've learned my lesson. So I'm over at the mall the other day sending my daughter these pictures of shoes like she wasn't going to say, well, make sure, you bring me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did I do this?
Yes.
But so how acclimated now, being from back mid
South Bend, Indiana.
Yeah, South Bend, Indiana, being in LA. I know a lot of people I talk to when you talk about raising a family in LA. Talk to me a little bit about what that's like.
It is it's a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with my oldest son today. It's a journey because I'm raised different. So my family's from the South. I grew up in the Midwest, but with parents from Arkansas.
Yeah.
And so I didn't make my kids say yes sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, because those are things that are alien out here.
Yeah.
Where adults typically want kids to talk to them as their equals.
Yeah.
I don't play that. But
I like that.
But I do have them say, it's Mr. Dwayne.
Yeah.
You know, it's Coach such and such. It's always Miss, Mr., whatever. So they still understand that there is a line that you get to. You know, it's LA is amazing. The weather is great. The thing that you see here that you don't see as frequently is abundance. And so you see the abundance and you see where things are. I was talking to Colin. At one point, I wanted to get my company to a $100 million a year company. And then that transition through what I saw from other people. Then it changed. I wanted to get it to a $500 million company.
Wow.
And then my buddy sold his company for almost $500 million. And I was like, oh, well, shoot. Well, then my company could be larger than that because this is a technology company. It's not a clothing company. And so once you start to see, and it's why we started the Dream Seed program, once you have an idea of what is available to you in this world, then your dreams become bigger.
Man, that's powerful.
But if you don't, if you've never had the ability to interact, if I've never interacted with Dwayne, then I don't know that I can go to Capitol Hill and I can go and meet with a senator and meet with a congressman and start talking about these are the things that we'd like to see in my city. These are the things that we think that can impact people. You don't know that you have that power unless you have the ability to see someone else.
Man, I love that. I know we run into a close but that is one of the most powerful things that you said, because that's our plight, because that's what I believe, that if I was only exposed to trailers and projects, I would never know about a gated community. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and I'm telling you, back in Birmingham, that was one of the experiences with our critical at-risk youth, is that I took them 12 miles down the street and they was asking questions like, are we in a different state? I'm like, no, we're in the car 15 minutes. We're not in a different state. And they're reaching down, like touching the grass, like, oh my goodness, like what kind of grass is this? And I'm knowing, okay, you used to like messed up Bermuda, but this is bent grass. But they don't know that, but they can tell this is different. Like they're touching things like, and I'm like, you know, and so when I take them to this community, they was like, hey, what do you got to be like an entertainer or professional athlete? I'm like, no, you got business people that live in these type of houses. Man, do you not realize that changed the trajectory of those kids?
100%.
Yeah, they went to school. They went back to school like, man, coach, like, I just need to get good grades. Like, I don't have to be a rapper. I don't have to be a movie. I can just get good grades and go to school and get a degree and get a good job. And I can live like this. And so that's why it's important for us to expose our youth.
Yes.
Because if we really believe that our youth is our future, then I truly believe that we can change our communities one child, one family at a time if we do it the right way.
Now we can. It is going to happen because of people like you. 100%.
Yeah, well, man, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. That's it, brother.
Man, we certainly humble and honored to have you with us this hour, and we got to get you back on the show. I mean, I love it when we run out of time, but we don't run out of word.
Yes.
Because that means we can always come back.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you.
Yeah.